Hey everybody, this is Brian Rice, and in this video I'm going to show you how I was able to take gear that I already own as a photographer and a videographer and repurpose all of that into this home studio setup that I'm using to film my YouTube videos with. And the really cool thing is that I only had to acquire one extra item that cost about $100 in order to get this thing up and running, and I'm going to tell you all about it right now. Okay, so when I sat down to start filming this video, my initial idea was that this was going to be a comprehensive overview of my entire YouTube home studio setup. But as I was rehearsing the intro over and over again, as you do, I quickly realized it was going to be a much larger task than I anticipated. If I wanted to go in depth on the various items that I'm using, that was going to take a long time, and that was going to make for a very long video. But what I noticed when I was going over my intro, filming it over and over again, was that I kept coming back to the one item that I absolutely needed in order to get this whole thing up and running. And I decided that instead of trying to do a comprehensive overview, that maybe I would turn this into a series of videos where I can go a little bit more in depth, give you something of a better rundown of each individual piece or related pieces. And I think that might be a better way to go about this. So that's what I'm going to try instead. So instead of going through everything I've got, today I am going to go over, as I mentioned in my intro, the one thing that you absolutely need if you want to use your dSLR or mirrorless camera. Let me emphasize that. If you already have a webcam, then you don't need this. But I actually went out and bought a webcam, and I think it was some Logitech for 80 bucks or something like that. And I quickly realized that the quality of the image wasn't good enough for what I wanted. Even with the rest of the setup, even with the lighting and the audio and all that, I wasn't happy with the quality. It just wasn't there. And on a lark, I went and got my Nikon Z6 and kind of handheld it pretty much at the same angle that you're seeing me right now. And I filmed it with the lighting. And then I turned it back around and looked at it. And I realized that that was the route I had to go. And I needed to figure out a way to get my Z6 connected to my computer and get the signal out of my camera that way and work it. I discovered that the simple HDMI connection or an HDMI adapter isn't going to cut it. It's not powerful enough by itself to transmit the signal, apparently. So I did some research, and that's how I discovered this item, which is the Elgato Cam Link 4K. Now, this is an adapter that you plug the HDMI coming from your camera and use that as the adapter to plug into. So So anyway, so the Elgato Cam Link 4K. All right. So the Elgato Cam Link 4K isn't it? We're gonna get this. So the Elgato Cam Link 4K is the device that you need in order to process the signal from your camera into your computer so you can get the live feed that you're seeing right now. It's a pretty straightforward setup. You have your HDMI cable that's plugged into the Cam Link that itself is plugged into your computer, or if you have a hub or some kind of other adapter, you plug it into that. And then once you're done doing that, you can just get onto your computer, use whatever software you're filming in. I'm filming in OBS. I've also been able to do this in QuickTime Pro relatively easily. Really haven't had any issues. I will say one thing now that I'm thinking about this that you need to be mindful of is to set your camera to 60 frames a second if you have that capability. If not, you're going to lag. It's going to be, and in fact, even now at 60 frames a second, I think it's just a split second off. And when I go back and process I nudged the audio just a little bit to line it up a bit more perfectly. But if you're shooting at 30 frames a second, forget it. You're gonna have some problems. So be mindful of that. Shoot at 60 frames a second if you can. Now this may seem like it's pretty expensive for what it is because it retails for around $130 or so, depending on where you're shopping. I happened to get it on sale for $100, so that was a great deal. But if you're wanting to do this, if you want to get your camera talking to your computer properly and you don't want to go the webcam route, this is what you need. And as somebody who owns a Nikon, I was concerned because a lot of the reviews, and even Elgato's own website, at least a month ago, I haven't checked the website since I bought this, but there was a concern over whether or not the Nikon Z6 would work. Well, I'm here to tell you that it does work with the Nikon Z6. I'm filming on it right now, but it works fine. I'm assuming the Z7 will also work since they're part of the same series, and maybe even the newer crop sensor Z50 or whatever it is that I think it's called. I would say that it's probably safe to assume that the Elgato Cam Link 4K will also work on those other two cameras as well, and if not, you can always return it. As I was saying in my intro, this was the only thing that I needed, and because I had everything else. I had everything else in place. So I'm gonna wrap up for now. I'm sure I'm forgetting something. When I go in and edit, I'll see. Shout out to Betty for making a guest appearance. So that about wraps it up for this video. I just want to close by saying that if you want to get away from the webcam when you're filming your videos or if you're live streaming, you absolutely have to get this device. I'm sure there's another competitor out there that makes one. This is the one that I found, the one that I settled on, and it may seem expensive for what it is, but it's absolutely worth it, and it's absolutely necessary if you want to go this route with a mirrorless camera or DSLR. If you have any questions, let me know, comments, all that. Please like and subscribe. I'm looking forward to producing the rest of this video series for you, where I go over some of the other things that I'm using in order to produce these videos. And like I said, most of it is gear that I already have, and I was able to repurpose it into making these videos. And I think that's pretty cool, and I think you can do it too. And so anyway, I'm going to sign off for now, and I will see you next time.